Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to take a look at the SP660 from Snaptain. As you can see here, really long flying drone. Comes packaged nicely, just like you expect. All the Snaptain stuff, good instruction manual, all that stuff. So let's take a look at the drone. And it comes with this kind of Captain America finish. I really like the look of this drone. You got red props in the front, black in the rear. I believe it's red lights in the front, green in the rear. Let's turn it on. I already got a battery in it. There they are, the flashing red, green in the rear. These green lights, so we'll discuss this in a moment, they start to flash when you think you're recording, but it's actually not right. It's really goofy, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Here is the 720p fixed camera here in the nose of the quadcopter. It is fixed. You cannot adjust it, so that's unfortunate. It's altitude hold, so when you're looking down, it does nosedive some on full throttle, but you're going to probably film it at the ground some because you can't rotate that camera upwards. Here's the battery bay, really massive LiPo fits in there. I'll show you that battery right now. It's a 2000 milliamp hour 1S LiPo battery, and just a huge battery. You can charge this with a hobby grade charger, so you don't need to mess with using the included ones, but here they are. They give you two chargers, which is really nice. So you can charge up both of your batteries, because this is a spare, the other one is inside the drone, and you can get them both charged. It's going to take a while. You're probably looking at a couple hours to charge the 2000 milliamp LiPo over a USB charger, so make sure you're using a good 2 amp USB charger to get your fastest charge rate on that. But the flight time is super impressive. I flew this on a really windy day, as you'll see in the flight review, and I got 22.5 minutes total flight time. If you fly this, it's advertised at 20, so you're exceeding the flight time. That's extremely rare in these toy drones to exceed their advertised flight time. Advertised at 20, you're getting more on a really windy day and the highest rate, and I'm recording to the SD card, which is also using up a little of the battery juice. As you can see, I bumped them here, but you've got 4 prop guards. If you want to put those on, that's going to reduce your flight time some because of the extra weight, so don't mess with that unless you're just starting out and maybe you're worried about damaging them, or for some reason you'd fly this indoors, but this is really too big unless you got a gymnasium somewhere. Then you might slap those on just so you don't scuff the props up if you fly into the wall. So you got your extra 4 props and a Phillips screwdriver to take those off if you need to put those on. And you have a micro USB cable, and the reason they give you that is because this controller is actually rechargeable. There's a LiPo battery inside this. As you can see, this thing powers up by holding in the power button. You got a red light flashing. There is no batteries to put in this. That's awesome. This is a really nice controller. It's got a nice weight to it, a nice little handle there, well labeled. The gimbal sticks are pretty nice though. In the flight review I mentioned I really like them, and I still do, but my right stick sticks. And I know Brian over True Drone Review says his also has some problems. So I only really notice it when I go to unlock the props. See, it doesn't always want to come back up. When I'm flying though, I never noticed it. I get no control lag, connected to the Wi-Fi, everything flew beautifully. I didn't have any kind of lag or goofy issues sometimes get with the Wi-Fi. There's your micro USB port for that cable to plug this in, and I think it lights up and goes out whenever it's finished charging. You've got your 3 speed rates here. They will beep once, twice, and 3 times. The drone does increase its yaw and of course its pitch. Here's your 360 flips in the direction you want to flip. It does really nice 360 flips. And then here's your buttons here. You've got your 1-key return, headless mode, auto takeoff and landing. You just press it, the props fire up and it goes. You can also, as I mentioned, do this to fire them up. And your gyro calibration is both sticks down and to the left. Now here is the goofy thing about the drone. If you press this once, it does photo. Long press is video. But does it do anything? No, it doesn't. So you can't record anything to the SD card in this drone with the controller. Now I don't think I showed you the SD card slot is here in the rear. It takes up to 32 gigs. Make sure it's formatted to FAT32. And if you insert that in a drone, you press and hold the video button here, these rear lights will start flashing green, like, oh wow, it's recording. Nope, there's nothing on the card. The instruction says it'll work, but it doesn't. And that's really unfortunate that the controller won't let you record. So you think you're recording, and you're like, well, I don't need to mess with the app or nothing. I just record video. Nope, it doesn't work. But the SD card does work if you use the app to start the recording. It's really strange. Make sure, however, that you stick the SD card slot in before you power the drone on. Otherwise, the SD card won't work at all. Once you got it in, power it up. Don't worry about the controller. Use the app. The app is called your Snaptain Era app. Now, it does not work right on my ThinQ, LG G8 ThinQ. The app will, it crashes when I go to the FPV feed, but it works just fine on my older Moto X4 phone. It'll work with most. There's something with the LG ThinQ. I'm sure that's the problem. And once you get into it here, you just press the video button and it will start recording. See, now it thinks it's recording, but it's actually not because we're not bound up. That will start recording to the SD card and also your phone, though the rear lights won't flash green. They will do nothing. It will stay solid. So you're like, well, is it recording? Yeah, it is. The timer says it is, but it will initiate that SD card recording. And if you were to use the controller, it doesn't do anything. Really, really weird. A major flaw in this drone. Otherwise, though, the drone flies great. If you're okay starting your recordings with the phone, then I say this drone's awesome. It flies great. I don't really have any problems except for obviously the stick sticking a little bit on the right one, the right gimbal stick. So just be mindful that it also has your hand gestures here. You can start and stop that function. 2 fingers is a photo, your palm, photo in a V formations photo, your palm is start recording. You'll see I did that in the video, though oddly enough, when it started recording, it showed the timer and the app going, but I didn't get anything on the SD card again. So to play it safe, press the video button in the app to make sure you get a video started on the SD card. So in the video, I will use footage from the phone when I started it with my hand gesture, and then once I landed, I stopped it. I'll switch it over and show you guys the SD card footage for the drone. But again, 22.5 minute flight time. It's sporty, it's quick, pretty quick. Comes with 2 chargers for both batteries. The controller's rechargeable. It really comes down to what's the good price. If you can get this for a good price, and I don't know what it sells for right now, then I say go for it. If you just can't get past that SD card issue, which I totally understand, then you might want to pass on this drone, even though it does work with the SD card. And then here is, this is just such a nice big battery. Your 2000 milliamp hour with the red JST plugs. You can charge this on, a hobby grade charger, or use, like I said, the included one. Just can be really slow. So you get 2 of these big batteries. Just a super good deal in terms of what you get with this drone. All right, guys, that wraps up the table review. So let's move outside now for the really long flight review. All right, guys, so let's take the Snaptain SP660 up now for its flight review. Now, I'm filming this before the table review, so I may go over a few things here that I already did discuss in the table review if you already watched the first part of this video. As I probably already mentioned in the table review, is the SD card recordings on this drone don't record using the controller. It's really weird. The lights will flash in the back green, but nothing saves to the SD card. You have to initiate the recording using the Snaptain Era Wi-Fi app. It's really, really weird. I've never seen it happen before, but at least you can get it to record. But it makes it where you have, if you want video, you've got to fly with the app connected to the Wi-Fi. You can't just fly at line of sight and record any video. So it's, I said, rather odd, but I really like the controller. Let me grab it over here. I've already got it. This is all powered up and it's already bound to the app and the controller. I love this controller. It's rechargeable. This is just a really, really nice toy grade controller. I like to feel the stick. Some people don't, but mine don't stick or anything. As I said, it's rechargeable. Here's that photo video button. It just doesn't work. I know DJ over at Soul Force Quads, he had the same problem. He had no video on his SD card. So You know, it's not just me, it's not a fluke on my end. In fact, it does record through the app, tells you that obviously the SD card slot does function. It's just some weird bug, and I have let Snaptain know about that, because it's rather disappointing that this would slip through and be sold that way, but it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and we'll take it up for a flight review. As you guys know, this drone gets an extremely long flight time, 20 minutes or so. We'll see. Today it's really windy, so I'm going to be keeping the drone really close to me. It's not something I'd be flying far anyway, but if it gets caught up in that breeze, it's going to struggle, even though it is a rather sporty quadcopter. So we'll keep it in rate 3 today when I fly it around. That's the highest rate. I know Jay Drone, Jay Drone, he got like 23 minutes flying his in the highest rate. So as he said, on a low rate you might get half an hour or something, but in this wind today, and look at that, that's really gusty. But it's not as bad here on the ground because we got the trees and the houses obstructing the wind. But I'm not going to be taken up in that. That's just too much for a toy up that high. But you know, in this wind today, I don't expect the flight time may be reduced if I have to fly into that and struggle. That's going to eat up some of the battery juice. So let's go ahead and we'll take it up and we'll fly it around here and show you guys how it works. Now also, because of that wind, I may not be able to test out the hand gestures. You got the palm and the V shape for the photos and the videos. I usually like to test that because it does usually work quite well, but I don't know. I might take it up here and just try to start out the video and then see if it works. And then if I have trouble, it's just because, like, you got to get it to stay stationary in front of you for a moment. So I'm going to back up here. I set it on the edge of my patio, and we'll go ahead and I'm not going to start the video just yet. And we'll go ahead and we'll take it up. Gyro calibration is both sticks down and to the left. You can hear it beep. Let's go ahead and let's do an auto takeoff. I think I already have it in the highest rate. I put it in that just so we're safe. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do the hand gestures. It's just going to get blown around too much. You got to have it really calm day, and you get it in front of you, and you turn it around and get it in front of you, and then you do I think it was a V. It's a V and a palm for photo video, though I don't remember which one's photo and which one's video now. I think V was photo and palm was video. You know, it has this big 2000 milliamp battery and it flies a really long time. So here's the yaw. Let's change the rates. That's the lowest rate. There's the middle. It's going to get blown away if I try to. The yaw does increase. See, it's really fighting it. Here's intermediate, and there's highest. There's down to lowest. You can see it slows down. Intermediate and the highest rate. So the yaw does increase with each rate, though it's never really fast. You can see here, this is the highest rate, and it's just okay. It's not super fast yaw or anything. The Wi-Fi FPV here, I'm going to just kind of look at that as I'm flying. There's some lag, but it's not. It's pretty typical amount. It's not bad at all. Here we go. Now to do that, if I wanted to do that hand gesture, you do have to enable that. I'm not screen recording the app right now or anything, but let's see if I can try that right now. If I can do a hand gesture here. Oh, I've almost tripped. There we go. And it took a photo. So yes, V is for your photos. So I'm in my sandals and just about tripped there coming down the side of my little hill. Let's see if we can try that again, because I don't think we got a very good photo. There we go. And we got a photo there. Let's see if we can do a video then, since we got caught a break in the wind. Alright, this should start recording video now. And it says start recording. We'll do this for a moment now. Hopefully that did, and the timer's going in the app, so we should be getting video on the SD card, and it also will save it to your phone. So you have two versions. Of course, the SD card version is going to be a lot better because it's not going to drop frames. You're going to always drop some frames over Wi-Fi. So assuming we get the SD card recording, I'll be using that here in this video, and not the Wi-Fi recording, because that's going to easily get out of sync, most likely, with drop frames. You know, I'm not seeing a whole lot of any here right now. It's bound to happen at some point. They all do. And now we got it counting again. I think it, it said it took a photo there. I'm going to turn that option off. You can enable or disable it. What it did is it picked up something in the app, saw something and thought it was my hand. It may have been just me moving around here, and it took a photo, which is interesting. You can take a photo while it's recording video. That's not real common. So that tells you, though, it's just taking a screenshot of the video, which I think most of these toys are just sort of doing. It's just like a screenshot of the video. So we did get the hand gestures, and that they worked really well. I've had a lot of trouble on some of them in the past. That was very easy to do. I didn't have to have it in front of me for very long, and typically, you know, in a windy day like today, usually you can't keep it around long enough to do that. So let's go ahead and do a few 360 flips. It flips really nice, as you kind of expect, as sporty as it is, that it will. So make sure you use the app to start recording if you got an SD card in it. If you don't have an SD card in it, just use the app to record to your phone. If you don't have your phone connected and you want to record video to SD card, then you're out of luck. As far as I can tell, mine won't record. DJ's didn't. The other reviews I've seen, the people like Jay was just testing the flight time at a time, so his doesn't count. But a few other people I've seen, I'm not going to name anybody, but some of them just, I think, forgot. They didn't check it, or they just used the phone footage and for whatever reason didn't say why the SD card didn't work. So, and as you can see here, because we are recording, there's no flashing green lights here. We started it with the app. If we start that with the controller, those rear lights will flash green, but nothing gets recorded. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to land. We're just doing an auto landing here in front of my pool, and we'll stop recording and start it up again. Alright, so we got it landing right there. I'm going to go ahead and just stop with the app. So we've got some footage recorded. So let me show you guys. I'm not going to include this video I'm doing right now with the footage, but let's start recording here. I'll show you. There's no flashing green lights on the rear there, even though I started it with the app. I'm going to stop it. Now let's start recording by holding down the record button on the controller. And now, as you guys may be able to see, it's flashing green. That's supposed to be saying, hey, you're recording video, but it doesn't do anything. It does absolutely nothing but records, but just flashes the lights. So I'll press it again, and that's supposed to stop it. Now they've gone solid. And again, that does not do anything. At least not on mine, and I don't think DJ had, I think he had the same problem. So let's set it down here and just take it back up. And again, I'm just going to use the app. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording with the app, and we'll go ahead and do an auto takeoff. So again, the flight time on this guy looks to be around 20 minutes. I've done test flight, but because this is a long flyer, I didn't get the full flight time, because that's a long test flight just to get a flight time. I typically do, but sometimes on these really long flyers, I'll just give you guys a flight time during this actual review, because it's just such a long amount of testing. The amount of time we put in as a reviewer, people don't realize, between the test flights and the editing and reading the instructions and the table review, if they, which I do. Not everybody does one, but it's a lot of work. So I'm not always going to have the flight time on these long flyers ahead of time. I'll let you know here. It'll be an estimate because we landed there for a moment. I'll try to exclude that from the flight time and give you guys a pretty good accurate idea on the flight. So again, we're in the highest rate and we're fighting winds, so hopefully somewhere in that 20 to 23 minute flight time, but it depends. This wind is going to affect the flight time, I think. And no two batteries are equal. One battery could get a little more flight time than another. So overall, I don't really have problems with this drone. I have another thing I want to mention I didn't mention yet is I have no lag in my controls. None while connected to the Wi-Fi. Sometimes you see that. I've heard that some people have had well, some people. One person had lag issues. I don't know what's up with that, but the people who are not recommending this drone for the reasons they're not, I don't understand. But everybody has their own opinion. For me, the only complaint really is the SD card recording, which might be a deal breaker for you. I get it. You know, if you want to record video and don't want to have to mess with the app, then this drone's not for you. But if you want a long flying drone with an okay camera and you don't mind, you plan on using the app and you don't mind that you can't do it from the controller, then I don't see it being a deal breaker for me. And you just don't see too many drones with long flight time. It really is going to come down to the price, and I don't remember the price of this drone. Of course, Snaptain sent me this for review, so I did not buy it. But I'm always going to be honest with you guys if I think something's no good or not. And for me, that's not a deal breaker as long as you get it for a good price. Because I mean, let's be honest, a couple years ago, a drone with a 20-minute flight time like this and a camera would just be an absolute no-brainer. Now, we've got more of them like this. Though not tons, but we have more of these long flyers. That it really is going to come down to price and whether or not you are okay with the fact that SD card recordings don't work as advertised. Now, if that SD card didn't work at all, then I'd have to give it a big thumbs down because you want the SD card. Another thing to note is make sure that SD card goes in before you power it up. You put it in there after you power it up and you're like, man, it still doesn't work. What are you talking about? Well, it doesn't initiate the SD card if you don't put it in before you power it on. So remember that. Don't power it up, then snap in the car. You're going to have nothing on the SD card, just footage on your phone. Also, the Snaptain Era app, never had problems with it in the past, but it, whoa, let's see, I got my orientation mixed up a little there because of the wind blowing it. My new LG G8 ThinQ phone, the app, it loads fine, but once you go to the FPV feed, it crashes every time. So keep that in mind. There could be some issues with certain phones. I don't know. I mean, right now I'm using my older Motorola Moto X4 Android One phone, and there's zero issues with it. This is just stock Android. Obviously, my my LG G8's running I think it's also OS 9, Android 9, but it's LG's flavor of it, and there's just a compatibility issue. Can't speak for any other phones. Just keep that in mind. If you do have an LG G8, then this app's not going to work for you right now, though they could always update it to fix it. I've let them know. They also admit they always try to make sure compatibility is good, but they did suggest I try another phone, which I had already done. I did get some freeze there in my FPV feed there a moment ago, which is of course expected, and that's why if you end up using the feed from your phone, like I said, it's going to lose frames, which it would be just recording the same thing I'm seeing. So that feed, and if I ended up using the phone footage, it would get badly out of sync. SD card footage should not drop frames. If it does, it's because it's a slow SD card. So make sure you have it decently fast. Well, any class 10's fine for the 720p. Or the SD card reader in the drone could just be poor. I've seen some drones drop frames just from the SD card, but that's not very common. You shouldn't get that. I don't expect that to be a problem here. The footage I looked at was pretty good. I think I've looked at this footage on this drone. It seemed like it was pretty decent. I think there was a little jello wobble, but I don't think it was very bad. It wasn't anything like some of them get. Let's bring it down here for a second. And I'm just taking a look at the camera here. Let's go ahead and land it here for a second. Just land it here in the grass. I wanted to take a quick look at the camera because this camera is just fixed again, so you can't tilt it up. So unfortunately, when you're going full pitch, you're going to end up with it, you know, catching some of the ground. So let's do a manual takeoff. I'm just going to toss it down. I think it was both sticks down and in. And there you go. My right stick there did slightly stick on me when I did both sticks down and in. But I like the feeling of the gimbal sticks, but yeah, I know I think Brian over at True Drone Reviews said that I think he had problems with his gimbal stick sticking. I've seen it in other toys that's not good, but I've only noticed it a little bit right there. But I love the feeling of this controller. It's heavy in terms of, not heavy, but I mean heavy as it doesn't feel cheap. It's rechargeable, the button layout is nice, and everything's labeled. You know, you got your headless mode and you got your one key return if you're a fan of that. I don't typically mess with those in my reviews because they're gimmicky and it doesn't teach you to fly. But if you choose to use them, they are on the controller. There are dials in the back, but they're just fixed. They're just like, I don't know if they just locked them or if it's just something that they put on there for show or look, but they don't move really. So there's nothing, you can't use those. In terms of a toy grade, and this is obviously still toy grade, this controller I put right at the top of anything I've seen. Though, like I said, if the gimbal sticks do stick on you, that's unfortunate. When they do stick on these toys, they tend to stick in the corners. That's what I've noticed. All right, my FPV feed did crash there on me. The app's still open. Alright, I don't have any feeds, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this video saved, guys, because the app did crash, but we did get some a while ago. Let's go ahead and land it. Oh, there we got feedback. So let's see. I'm going to start, stop. Alright. So I don't know if that second video clip I got going is going to be complete on here. If you didn't see video, it's because of that. The app actually was open. For some reason, the FPV feed was gone, but it did come back. So that's good. So on these, when you're recording stuff through an app only, sometimes you run into issues with, you know, obviously if it saves to the phone and you, don't stop it, you're gonna probably corrupt and lose that feed. Boy, that wind is intense. But we'll see if we got it on the SD card. Let's go ahead and start recording again. There we go. Now we're recording. Let's just do another manual takeoff. Yeah, see this down here? Look at that. That is sticking. It's not bad. That was the first time I noticed it a while ago. So I'll have to knock a few points off the controller now for that sticking. That's not ideal. It's kind of funny because I thought that, you know, I had nothing negative to say about this controller until Brian mentioned that his was sticking, and I said, you know, I think it did happen to me once, but I couldn't really remember because it was kind of subtle when it happened. But here it's happened to me twice, just on the right stick. But again, this is toy grade, so I mean, this stuff happens. It's not severe, and the controller is so nice. Otherwise, it doesn't really. To me, it's not a big deal, but it might be to you. What kind of flight time we get on this guy? And like I said, the controller, like I said, does stick on the down and the right. And that's something that, it's unfortunate because I really do like this controller. But this is a nice flyer, really nice flyer. We got so much flight time on this guy. Let's do a flip and hopefully it stays in sync here. But sometimes this can get out of sync, even without drop frame, just to do with the frame rate on the camera being so much different than in my head cam. So, oh, it may be getting low here. Let's try that again and see if it wants to flip. Some of these drones, when they get low, even when it gets, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording video actually, so we won't even have to worry about it being in sync or not. Let's see, do we have flashing lights? Doesn't look like it. Let's take it up and see. Will it flip now? No. So even though we don't have a low battery, it's not letting me flip. So it's detected the battery juice is a little too low. It doesn't want to flip. I've seen that before. Typically, you get that at LVC, but I don't see any flashing lights yet. Though those LEDs on those legs, those landing gear, are not easy to see in the daytime, but they're really pretty when you get in the dark. So we got some flips in early, but yeah, it's going to disable flips when the battery starts to get low. So let's see what kind of flight time we get. If the flight time on this ends up being less than other people, it's because I'm flying really in too windy conditions. But I didn't get a chance to get this reviewed as soon as I wanted, because I was waiting to hear some feedback from Snaptain in regard to some of those, to the SD card issue. Once I saw DJ had that problem, then I knew it wasn't my drone, and then I wanted to go ahead and get it reviewed, so let you guys know. So really the only two complaints I have then right now in this flying this is the SD card not working with the controller, but it does work with the app. And the stick, the right, at least on mine, the right stick will sometimes stick in the right lower corner, but look, it's not doing it now. Well, like I said, otherwise I really like this controller. And the drone, I mean, the quadcopter flies great. It does dive bomb a little, which many of these altitude hold toys will do when they're really sporty, because they have so much, it has so much pitch, it's going to kind of dive bomb. The altitude hold can't maintain altitude with all that pitch, but it's not drastic. If you try to fly this drone though with the controller only, the app only, obviously that's not going to be very ideal. So keep that in mind on any of these drones. Any of these Wi-Fi flyers are going to have an option to fly with the controls on the screen. Those never work well. So you may not have very good controls, and there's going to be a bit of delay because you're doing it over the Wi-Fi. So keep that in mind. I always use the controller. There's literally zero reason to fly this drone with the app. Sometimes there's features that only work in the app, and you're kind of forced to. But in this drone, as far as I know, there's nothing like that. The hand gestures all work with the controller bound up. So. Yeah, I didn't really notice any delay. At times here, the wind really kind of will snap it into, like if I pitch forward and the wind gets behind it, it has a little trouble leveling out, so it feels like you've got delays. But that's just the wind, I think. Every once in a while, it feels like I might get just the most minute about a lag, but I mean, again, it's Wi-Fi, but it's mostly this wind causing that. As you can see here, I've got it's reacting nicely to the sticks. If you do get some sort of Wi-Fi lag with these drones, it's hard to say. Some of them, just because of the Wi-Fi being connected, is what's causing it. Other times it can be if you're in a highly congested Wi-Fi area, that could also just the cross interference with your controller. And it just causes issues with the, because your controller is running on the same 2.4 gigahertz signal, digital signal. It's a 2.4 digital, just like your Wi-Fi. So that can cause problems. So that's something to keep in mind on these drones. If you're getting the first thing to do if you're getting any kind of lag, disconnect your Wi-Fi from the phone. And for some reason that seems to help. I mean, the drone probably still transmitting that Wi-Fi signal, but when you're not connected, at least your phone's not transmitting data back to the drone. So that usually is a good test. We've seen drones that you disconnect them and all of a sudden that lag disappears. Well, again, sometimes it's just the Wi-Fi congestion in general in the area you're flying. All right, we've got low voltage now, so even though it wouldn't flip, we weren't actually to the LVC. As you can see, I've got a beeping controller now, so it's not just, it's not anything with your phone, let me know. It's actually the controller beeping. Snaptain's been doing this a lot more, and I like that. The phone doesn't vibrate though. Some of these will also make your phone do some vibration feedback, but it's just a beeping. So, but we're still not landed. We'll see how long this LVC goes, and then I'll overlay the flight time here on the video, let you guys know what kind of flight time I got. Again, in highest rate the whole time, except for when I showed you guys the yaw differences. And a really, really windy day. Again, I would not typically fly this drone for fun on a day like today. This is a good test. I'll let you guys know, how does this drone handle extreme conditions. And there we go. All right, so we are landed. And it's obviously still letting me know the battery's low. So let you guys know here by text what the flight time is on this drone. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the drone off. We're not recording video anymore. And turn off the controller so I don't have to talk over that beeping. Overall, I like this drone. I don't really have any kind of control issues. The camera's okay. It handles nice, has an extremely long flight time. You get 2 batteries. The controller's really well built, with the exception of the stick, my right stick sticking occasionally when I'm trying to unlock the props. It's great. I just wholeheartedly disagree with the people who are thumbing down this drone for the stupidest of reasons. So don't listen to those channels. If you don't like this drone because of the SD card issues, then right on, I'm with you. But if you're okay with using the app, there's really no reason to bash this drone. The people doing that just don't know what they're talking about. There's some of the channels that don't really review toys very often too, and it kind of ticks me off, but they're giving an unfair review to a drone that is perfectly fine, especially if you can get it with a coupon for a good price or something like that. And again, this comes from Amazon, so 2-day shipping if you have Prime, and you don't have to worry about any hassles of returning the drone or anything like that. All right, guys, that wraps up the review of the Snaptain SP660. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the subscriptions, and click that bell so you know whenever I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.